Throughout the 2010s, the two combatants of today's book were enjoying a sudden spike in their popularity.
Okay, that might sound a little strange concerning Hawkeye. Even though he debuted as an Iron Man villain and then bullied his way onto the Avengers, Clint Barton eventually became the conscience of the super team, being unafraid to even call Captain America out on his bullshit. And this led to him becoming one of the Avengers' most popular members. That popularity becomes something of a running joke, as even though he was routinely voted as a favorite Avenger, every attempt at launching a Hawkeye solo series would just die on the vine, with none of the 5 attempted previous series lasting more than 8 issues. This would change in 2012 with the launch of a series by the creative team of David Aja and Matt Fraction. The duo, fresh off their revitalization of the martial arts hero Iron Fist, would work on Hawkeye being more of a street-level hero, even going as far as for him to become the owner of a Brooklyn apartment building and taking an apprentice hero in Kate Bishop. We'll get to more on her later.
On to our other titular combatant, Deadpool. And I have to admit, I'm not so knowledgeable about the Merc with the Mouth. I mean, the only Wade Wilson I have any authority to speak about is the former Minnesota Vikings quarterback.
Maybe it's because Deadpool was so closely related to X-Force, one of my least favorite X books, but I was never really interested in him. It also didn't help that Deadpool's oddball nature and ever-changing backstory could make him a difficult character for a new reader.
On top of that, when Marvel actually did put out a Deadpool book that I was maybe interested in picking up, they put Daniel Way, one of my least favorite writers, on there, which immediately killed my interest.
What I can tell you is that Wade Wilson was a soldier of fortune specializing in martial arts, swordsmanship, and gunplay, who had his healing ability created by the Weapon 10 program, which is why his disfigurement hasn't really healed. Also, this makes him a mutate, not really a mutant. He's also aware that he's a comic book character, which he's used to his advantage against his opponents, and to help update his Wikipedia entry on occasion.
Now, before we start Hawkeye vs. Deadpool, there's a couple of points I need to make. First off, Deadpool has been raising his daughter, Ellie Camacho, in the wake of her mother's death. Helping him out is a woman named Emily Preston, who is Deadpool's S.H.I.E.L.D. liaison, who recently had her consciousness transferred into a life model decoy android after her original body was destroyed by a zombie George Washington. Just go with it. Also, Hawkeye had a recent adventure with a villain named Crossfire that left him permanently deaf. Anyway, in 2014, Deadpool scribe Jerry Duggan scripted the miniseries that we're looking at today. This is Hawkeye vs. Deadpool.
It's Halloween, and the kids are out trick-or-treating.
And considering the fact that I'm recording this in the second week of November, it shows that I have impeccable timing.
A group of kids gather outside Hawkeye's apartment complex. They know he owns the building, and last year he gave out full-size candy bars. Unfortunately, this year, Clint has downgraded to fun-sized candy bars. The kids take their candy and walk away disappointed. Clint then gets a visit from Simone, one of his tenants, who has brought along a couple of friends, Emily Preston, Wade Wilson, and their respective offspring. Hawkeye explains once more that he doesn't have full-size candy bars, leading Deadpool to inquire if Clint is really holding out. The two glare at each other as Clint kicks Wade out. Clint then rips apart his Ultron costume when he receives another visitor. This man claims to have some info for the Avengers, but Clint just takes the guy as another prankster and slams the door in his face after giving him candy. Outside, the man comes across Deadpool and his party. The man tosses the candy he got from Clint, along with a flash drive, into Wade's Halloween basket as it starts to rain. Gunshots then ring out, attracting the attention of Hawkeye and Deadpool. The man from before has been killed by a person in a Punisher costume. It's not Frank Castle. The two question the killer, only to have him constantly state that he is a patriot and begin quoting Battle Hymn of the Republic. The interrogation is interrupted by the arrival of an accomplice, a large man in a Daredevil costume. Hawkeye and Deadpool tussle with the Punisher cosplayer, even removing the pins from a few grenades and smoke bombs on the killer's outfit. Deadpool takes a bullet for Hawkeye, who takes off after not Punisher. However, the killer simply walks into the path of a semi-truck and dies. Hawkeye returns to Deadpool, who explains that not Daredevil ran off with the dead man's duffel bag. Wade then orders some chili dogs, and the two explain what happened to the police, who identify the man as Jeremy Eldson. The two then return to Hawkeye's apartment, where Wade discovers the flash drive in his Halloween bucket. The drive contains a video of Jeremy explaining what he did. He hacked S.H.I.E.L.D., and stole a database containing the personal info on every active S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. Hawkeye shuts the video off and thanks Wade for the help, but it's just going to be him from now on. Deadpool points out that his daughter lives with an active S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, so this really does concern him as well. The two then come to blows. Elsewhere, the Daredevil goon returns to his employer, one Dr. Lusk, with an empty bag. It turns out that Lusk has an army of drones, his name for brainwashed assassins, and he is actually under the employ of Felicia Hardy, aka the Black Cat.
Felicia Hardy is the daughter of Walter Hardy, a world-renowned cat burglar who decided to follow in her father's footsteps by adopting the mantle of the Black Cat. Felicia actually has the ability to affect probability fields or cause bad luck for any opponent that crosses her path. Although best known as an adversary and occasional love interest of Spider-Man, a recent encounter with the Dr. Octopus-possessed Superior Spider-Man, and no, I'm not getting into that again, has forced Felicia to begin taking a darker path.
The Black Cat commissions Lusk to turn a local judge into a drone. Said judge then throws out the case involving Typhoid Mary, who gladly agrees to help out Felicia.
Mary Walker is a mutant who possesses many psionic abilities combined with dissociative identity disorder, otherwise known as multiple personalities. She has 4 personalities in total: the regular Mary Walker, a peaceful pacifist just named Mary, a impetuous, rash, violent one known as Typhoid Mary, and a killer known as Bloody Mary. Mary Walker, or Typhoid Mary as she's more commonly known, is best known as a adversary and occasional love interest of Daredevil.
Meanwhile, Clint and Wade, who are both gassed from their rather pointless fight, get a visit from Kate Bishop. She bashes Wade with a vase for suggesting an inappropriate relationship between she and Clint, though she also thought he was a bad guy. She also didn't realize that Wade wasn't wearing a Freddy Krueger mask.
Okay, you're going to need to bear with me because things could get a little confusing here. Kate Bishop was a member of a team called the Young Avengers, a group I touched on briefly when I talked about one of their members, Cassie Lang, aka Stature. Anyway, Kate wore a costume that was kind of a combination of not only Hawkeye, but also his longtime love interest, Mockingbird. This led to her very briefly being referred to as Hawkingbird. Eventually she would actually adopt the mantle of Hawkeye, and when Clint Barton returned to the land of the living, he would wind up taking her on as kind of an apprentice. So basically, we're dealing with 2 Hawkeyes. So to avoid confusion, I'm just going to be referring to both of them by their civilian names of Clint and Kate from here on out.
Clint and Deadpool explain the situation to Kate, who is charging her phone while waiting for her Uber to arrive, and the two then head over to a morgue to inspect the corpse of Jeremy's killer. Unfortunately, a minor problem arises when Deadpool knocks out the morgue attendant, and Clint couldn't even hear it as he's been having problems with his hearing aid. Meanwhile, Kate kills the time for Uber by watching the video on the flash drive. She recognizes one of the buildings in the background and cancels the Uber so that she can go off and investigate. Meanwhile, Clint and Deadpool arrive at the scientific lab where Jeremy worked, and they're immediately jumped by a group of drones. The Daredevil drone tosses Clint through a wall where he sees Black Cat preparing to torch the place. Deadpool then takes everyone out by setting off the building's sprinklers and electrifying the floor. He then tases himself for good measure. Kate arrives at Jeremy's apartment and breaks in, where she encounters Scott Adson, agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. As this is happening, Clint has returned back to his apartment, where he's greeted by a shadowy figure. Adson takes Kate back to the Manhattan S.H.I.E.L.D. office, where Clint and Deadpool join her. The three then talk with members of S.H.I.E.L.D., the FBI, and the CIA. Clint explains that his apartment had been completely torn apart by whomever is looking for Jeremy's flash drive. Adson then proposes that S.H.I.E.L.D. work with the three in order to set up a trap and ensnare Black Cat and her cronies. Adson activates Jeremy's phone, which was found at the apartment, and Black Cat, along with Typhoid Mary and Ivan, a regular underling, use the GPS tracker to get to Times Square. While they wait, Deadpool asks Clint about the possible use of Hawkeye's famed Sky Cycle.
Clint Barton once owned a custom-made flying motorcycle that had been given to him by the head of Cross Industries while he was serving as a member of the West Coast branch of the Avengers. And this actually leads to a plot hole. See, the last time the Sky Cycle actually popped up, it was actually in the hands of a time-displaced Western hero known as the Two-Gun Kid, who was actually willed the Sky Cycle by Clint Barton in a She-Hulk comic.
Deadpool joins up with Kate as Typhoid Mary and Ivan arrive and the trap is sprung, except Black Cat is wise to the plan and jumps Clint, throwing him over the ledge of a building that he was standing on. Typhoid Mary then psychically starts a bus on fire, enabling the three villains to escape. Afterwards, Adsit takes Clint to task for the plan failing, and Deadpool ducks away to purchase a Wii U. The Uber Deadpool called for then arrives, and it takes him, Clint, and Kate to one of the mercenaries' safe houses where they break in the video game console, playing a Marvel Universe version of Mario Kart until Adset calls again. The trio are then dispatched to Jeremy's apartment. It turns out that the flash drive only contained the video and none of the stolen SHIELD files. They need to locate the whereabouts of Jeremy's cat, which neither Kate nor Adset remember seeing at the apartment, figuring out that whoever has the cat may also have the SHIELD files. Kate knocks on the door of Jeremy's neighbor, a little old lady who is covered in scratch marks and cat hair. She knows Jeremy is dead, but doesn't want any harm to come to the cat. Deadpool assures her that the cat will be okay as he inspects the collar and turns up a secret thumb drive containing the SHIELD files. Kate and Deadpool celebrate while Clint proclaims that he is now a patriot. He then attacks Kate and Deadpool and takes the thumb drive.
And here's where our second plot hole pops up. You remember earlier when Clint was entering his apartment and there was the shadowy figure standing there? Well, it turned out that was Typhoid Mary, and Ivan was with her hiding in the shadows. They managed to overwhelm Clint and then took him into Dr. Lusk to be brainwashed. Now here's where the problem pops up. You might remember earlier I said that Clint Barton's hearing aid was not working very well, and so he couldn't hear things properly. In fact, it was so bad that much of the early comics actually have Deadpool flipping his mask up so that Clint could read Wade's lips. Well then, how did the brainwashing work if Clint can't hear anything that's being said?
Kate and Deadpool come to and she helps remove the knife that Clint had stabbed into Wade earlier. The two then take off after Clint, who is trying to escape on first a bicycle, then a motorcycle. Deadpool calls in another Uber, and the crew head towards the Brooklyn Bridge. This results in both Kate and Wade being banned from ever using Uber again. Eventually, Clint threatens to jump off the bridge, and this leaves Deadpool no choice but to let him go, despite Kate's pleas. The two manage to tail Clint back to the Black Cat's headquarters, where Wade calls an illegal weapons dealer to outfit Kate with a rocket launcher and pick up a few other weapons. He then instructs Kate to take out the building's power supply with the rocket launcher and thus prevent the Black Cat from copying the files off of the thumb drive. Deadpool then slips away to pick something up as Kate launches the rocket. The resulting explosion breaks Clint out of his brainwashing. Clint wheels around and shoots at the villains, hitting Ivan and Mary. Kate comes crashing through as the Black Cat calls for backup. Kate is followed by Deadpool, who's riding the Sky Cycle, failing to realize that the reason Clint wasn't using it before was due to a faulty stabilizer. Kate and Clint then attack Black Cat's supporting crew, while she escapes with Mary, Ivan, and Lusk. Deadpool returns as Clint lulls Typhoid Mary into a false sense of calm and then headbutts her. The trio then take down Ivan as Deadpool snatches the thumb drive. Black Cat and Lusk then run into a group of SHIELD agents. Felicia suggests splitting up and kisses Lusk goodbye. He then realizes that his clothing has been tangled into an escalator. No matter how much he struggles, he just gets further tangled and, well, that's all she wrote. Black Cat then begins acting like a drone and gets arrested by a female SHIELD agent. Later, however, it's revealed that Felicia somehow switched places with the agent, who was somehow brainwashed. Still, Clint, Kate, and Deadpool have the SHIELD files and are safe. Later, Deadpool says his goodbye to Clint and Kate with a fist bump, and Clint is left to clean up the bloodstains from the homicide in front of his apartment building.
And so ends Hawkeye versus Deadpool. How was it? Well, there's a lot of strong points to this comic, particularly the writing, which for the most part is really darn good. There's some great character interaction between Hawkeye, Deadpool, Kate Bishop, and Clint Barton, obviously, because we have two Hawkeyes in this. Also, I like the way Black Cat has worked into the narrative. I always felt that she was kind of an underutilized character in a lot of the Spider-Man books. Also, I like the bit at the beginning with the Halloween and the candy and the full-size candy bars. That's kind of a funny thing. And for the most part, the artwork is really darn good in all of this. That being said, the writing is not perfect. I mean, I mentioned the whole plot holes earlier. I mean, the She-Hulk thing I could kind of forgive. I mean, that was a while ago. But the hearing aid, I mean, that's brought up really early on in the comic, and it's kind of a main point. And then to just kind of forget it doesn't make any sense. On top of all of that, the drones are not very interesting. They feel like cannon fodder. Also, the pop culture references are already a little dated. Even for 2014, a Wii U reference. Uber, again, Uber. I mean, I know Uber's still around. It's still fairly popular, but it's not what it was even in 2014. And that does kind of date the book a little bit. And again, last but not least here, but for a book called Hawkeye versus Deadpool, Hawkeye and Deadpool really don't fight that much. I mean, they have that little bit at the beginning where they're fighting over the shield files, and then we have the brainwashed Hawkeye towards the climax of the comic, you could say. But other than that, they don't really fight. It really should have been called Hawkeye and Deadpool. I think that would have worked as a better title. And with that in mind, I'm going to give Hawkeye versus Deadpool a C. And with that, let's see what we'll be doing next time on the Random Trade Review.
Hey guys, want to recommend a book to be placed in the randomizer, aka the cardboard box? Well, check out my Patreon at patreon.com/sleepytimeforcapproductions, or just check the link in the description below and see how you can help make that happen.